So I was just listening to Seth Godin's podcast Akimbo, and he has an episode on it called Don't Just Stand There. No, don't just do something, stand there. And the point of this episode was to discuss the instinct that we naturally have to an emotional response, which is often to take action. We feel an emotion, we take action on the emotion. We see an injustice, we want to fight the injustice. We see a problem, we want to fix the problem. If there's good news, we want to celebrate it. There's this idea of the emotion informing the action instinctively. But he argues that the best thing to do in these emotionally charged situations is to stop and to think and to just stand there. Sometimes the best thing to do in a moment is nothing. And he's talking about this in a business sense, like from a business perspective, because that's what the podcast is. But I was thinking about this impulse and about how frequently I felt it when it came to buying things. It doesn't matter what emotional state I was in. It could be boredom, stress, happiness, sadness, fear, you name it, any emotional state, I would attempt to deal with by buying something. I would feel the feeling, I would have the impulse to take action, and the action I relied on taking was always buying something. And the reason makes sense to me because, you know, if you want to make a change in your life, the easiest way to do that is just to invite something new into it. It makes you feel good in that moment. It makes you feel like you earned something even though you've actually parted with its monetary equivalent. And it's also interesting because when we are advertised a product, we are often sold this aspirational image where, you know, there'll be some incredibly beautiful, lovely dressed people all socializing, you know, drinking cocktails on the rooftop and all laughing together. Oh, we're having such fun, and they'll be on their latest gadgets, and oh, what wonderful fictional people they are. And the purpose of that is to make us feel less than. It's to make us feel less worthy than we might have otherwise. And so we are naturally going to feel maybe a little insecure, a little vulnerable. We are going to have an emotional reaction to these aspirational images that people use to sell their products. And what do we do when we have an emotional reaction to something? We try and take action. We want to do something about it. We either want to fix the issue or we want to stop feeling that feeling anymore. And lo and behold, they are selling us a solution right there. They say, oh, you're feeling sad about how you look? Well, here's some makeup that you might enjoy. And again, it's this link between feeling the emotion and taking action. You need to decide what the action is going to be, because if you rely on the emotion to make that decision for you, emotions aren't good at that. Emotions are very volatile. They can't think long term. They're not very rational. If we let the emotion inform the action that we take, it's not going to be a very logical, sensible decision. And I think one of the reasons that we have this instinct to act when we feel an emotion is because feeling an emotion means spending time in your own head, and it is so much less scary to be distracted from that. You know, your head is where fear lives. Your head is where all of the bad things you are capable of live, and it's where all of the good things that you're capable of but aren't doing right now live. There's a lot going on in the head. It's not always a pleasant place to spend your time. And so we've learned to just keep ourselves distracted, and you know, you have the feeling, you deal with it, you get rid of it somehow, or you tackle it, or you distract yourself. I often just really need to rearrange all the furniture in the flat. I just really need to do that. Sometimes I just need to declutter. Sometimes I need to clean. And it's not like a kind of, oh, do you know what I feel like doing today? I feel like rearranging the furniture. It's not like that. It's like manic and it's intense. The way I go about these things is intense. It's completely different to just having a casual, I wonder if the sofa would look better over there. It's not like that. And yes, I could just be in the mood to do that particular day, but the likelihood is that I have been pushed into taking action by an emotion that I do not feel ready to face yet. So I take action, even if it's not related to the problem. And I think that's kind of the crux of the issue, is that if you find yourself compelled to take action, especially if it comes in a spark, if it's like, it wasn't there and all of a sudden it's there, you need to think about what emotion your instinct is referring to, because that is something that you're going to need to confront, something that you're going to need to deal with. It's really hard to deal with the inside of your head. It's so much easier to keep yourself distracted with, you know, scrolling, with phone screens, with TV shows, with rearranging your furniture, whatever it is, it's easier than facing how you feel. Because then you have to ask yourself, why do I feel this? And you have to question your life. And that's big. It's completely understandable why we prefer to keep ourselves distracted. As you know, I love Stoicism, and one of the concepts of Stoicism that really changed my life was this idea of taking responsibility for your emotions and how you act on those emotions. I used to think that life happened to me. So, that person made me feel jealous. That situation made me angry, as though I was just an inactive background character without any agency whatsoever. When you feel an emotion that you instinctively want to respond to, you can decide on the most rational manner to go about things. You can decide on the outcome you want the situation to have and decide how you can best contribute to that outcome. Or you can fly into a sort of a passion-fueled rage where you turn red and you can't quite formulate your words properly and you want to cry. The difference between those two reactions is that stopping. It is that standing there. It is that moment to just break the connection, just to stop and to think. This also involves improving your relationship with yourself, because you need to become somebody you can trust to make the best decision for you. You have to trust that you are capable of making a rational decision, and this kind of thing comes with lots of self-reflection, lots of journaling, spending time in your own head, thinking, reading, learning, all that good stuff. It can be a long journey, but it's so worthwhile because it permeates through every single area of your life. If you are able to not have your actions fly off from your emotions instinctively, it's going to help your relationships, it's going to help your business, the way you spend your time, work. By stopping for the tiniest of moments, you are switching off autopilot. You're switching off every unhelpful program that the world and your upbringing installed into you. You get to decide. You get to make the choices in your own life. Emotions are helpful. They are tools that can help us understand ourselves and understand the world around us, but they are not equipped to make decisions. They don't know how to think long term. They're just short-term responders to situations. And sometimes emotions are just really nice to feel. Like sometimes it's like sinking into a really nice warm bath. I get that feeling when I'm listening to pieces of music that make me feel so many feelings that I end up crying, and it is such a beautiful thing that I get to do, that I get to feel. And if you're really sad about something, you have to feel that sadness to move through it, to learn from it. And in some ways it shows a proper understanding of the situation that you've just been in. The issues only arise when it comes to taking action and interacting with the world around you and the people around you. If your actions are purely based on emotional responses and not rational or logical thinking, then you're unlikely to act in anyone's best interests. The difference between having your life lived for you and being, a victim of the breezes of life, and being in the driver's seat and having agency and taking control, as much control as you are able to have, is that moment of disconnect, of breaking the emotion from the action that it most instinctively wants to trigger. If you want to act in the best interest for yourself and for other people, you need that moment. So the next time you feel that emotional response to a situation or to a person or to an advert, think, what is it that I feel like I'm being pushed towards, and why is that the case? Think rationally, ask yourself these questions, really quiz yourself as to why you want to take that specific action. Does it contribute to the larger picture that you actually want to see unfolding, or is it just something that is going to make you feel a little bit better in the short term? Give yourself that moment. Don't just do something, stand there. Beautiful phrase. It's not Seth Godin's phrase, but it is the name of his thing that I'm referring to, so we'll praise him. Anyway, I hope that made some sort of sense. I feel like we went around the houses there to get to the point, but I hope it was a valid point and it's one that's going to help you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and press subscribe and the bell icon if you haven't already, and I shall see you in my next video. I hope you're all doing well. Goodbye.
Roll up, let me embed a story you'll never forget. A drip, drip, but drowning in debt now. You can't buy your way out.